And welcome to Consensus Unreality in the year 2026. This time we're going to be talking about a very strange topic, 2025.
Whoa, nice. You killed that intro.
Yeah.
He's a pro.
If you're not yet, now is the time to go over to patreon.com/consensusunreality and sign up to hear the latter half of this episode. And, you know, most of everything else that we do is over there.
Yeah, over 150 hours of exclusive episodes, written content, and our printed Journal of Shells, a quarterly publication that contains archival texts as well as new writings from guests, sourced from researchers, and writings from the hosts of Consensus Unreality as well.
Right. That's me and you.
That's us. Discord server, all that and more at patreon.com/consensusunreality. It's been a while since we did that. It felt weird.
Yeah. Took a little break for the holidays. So now we're back. Yeah, I figured it would be nice to just go back through the year 2025 and chart the evolution of our thought over that year and see what we looked at, maybe touch back on some interesting developments and subjects.
Yes, I agree with you.
Clear it for what's coming next, which will be a podcast.
Yeah, a podcast. I'm not landing that one. I didn't know where that was going. I think we had some really interesting threads last year. If I look back at the episodes,
yeah.
Like we usually go on these tangents and trajectories every year. We've had some mini series like our Saucers of Despair, which kind of looked at astrotheology and religion and compared it to flying saucerology. We had our Pulp Magic series, which was looking at the East meets West crossroads. And I think this year we went on some threads that kind of formed more naturally over the course of the year.
We didn't really do a series, did we?
Well, we kept some constant themes, and I think that started with our first episode of 2025, which looked at Robert Temple's A New Science of Heaven.
Right. That was great.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Feels like years ago, or maybe yesterday.
Yeah, it was one year ago.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we kind of, I'm looking back through our feed on Patreon, and it looks like we did kind of follow the plasma physics and Reichian orgone sort of interpretation of UFOs for a while. We looked at Trevor James Constable after that, and it was we did just let things develop over the course. Oh, and then David Lynch died.
Yeah, well, we don't need to
sorry, everyone.
Jump into it. Jeez.
Hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Yeah. The thing I liked a lot about the plasmoidal ufology thing is I think 2024 and 2023, there was a lot of the this week's whistleblower coming out and a lot of like disinformative UFO stuff in the news. And it was nice to get back to the elements of UFOlogy that got us interested in the first place, which is the kind of like creative schema of building out a cosmology, the borderland sciences stuff, Riley Crabb and Mead Lane.
Right, we did. We dove into the sort of, what's the word for that? The fringes, but like the center of the fringes. Like the classic fringe.
Totally. And like ether ships. It's just strange contactee encounters. I think actually one of the things that got us back there too, which is important to mention, is Gray Barker's short book, which chronicles some of George Van Tassel's UFO conventions out at Giant Rock.
Oh, Gray Barker at Giant Rock.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah, I love him.
we do. And that got into a lot of the quirky characters uh, bouncing around the desert at that time. I just love Trevor James Constable as well. I think it's a
Yeah,
very unique and kind of a prophetic perspective on ufology, because he was kind of on the plasmoid thing pretty early. If we look at
yeah,
plasma physics, I think those theories and discoveries were really only gaining traction in like the late 50s, early 60s, and Constable was writing in the 60s, if I'm correct, right?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, and for a little while after. Um, yeah, it was cool to kind of go back to the source on that stuff because it's always kind of felt like a interesting alternative path that ufology could have taken if it went down this sort of energy um rabbit hole, I guess. If it instead of going into, say the Valet interdimensional hypothesis, which I think kind of takes that stuff into consideration, but
Mm.
if for some reason we went this weird new physics route where we were talking about energy amoebas and like sort of natural phenomena instead of manned ships versus like spirits. It kind of would have. It feels like the ghost of ufology that wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of popular ufology, some kind of weird interference just came in. Got it. Yeah,
He
I
found it.
I did. There was some ethereal interference there. I see what you're saying, and I think that's because popular ufology is directed by its utility to.
Nerds,
Well, I think it's more the military industrial complex and
jarheads.
jarheads. Exactly. Nice pull. Yeah, I like that.
Uh huh.
Jarheads.
Yeah. No, I think that's true, and has been true since. Well, the intelligence connection's been there since the first sighting. Quote unquote.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
without even seeing Age of Disclosure, I can just all but guarantee that that's about getting funding for
It's the same thing. Yeah, it's gonna be the
anti
same thing.
hypersonic ballistics and
It's gonna
radar
be
mesh and all that
14
stuff. Yeah.
14.99 of the same thing.
Right. But they're gonna
But
make us do it. Our
we've been
patrons,
called,
they're gonna make us do it.
taken to task. We have to do it. And I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it twice.
just the man for the job.
I'll watch it 3 times.
Oh,
Yes. So, yeah, we started the year with some ufology, couple episodes on that. Um, yeah, I think it was really for me something I remember about this year was just David Lynch in general was revisiting his body of work.
of course, yeah.
When I went out to LA in May, visiting his grave, kind of just being steeped in that weird environment that he, spent much of his creative life trying to evoke. And so it felt like a big year for thinking about that. Something about him is that if you spend much time with his work, for me at least, it's so infectious that I feel like when I begin to produce stuff, it starts to feel like Lynchy. And I find that frustrating.
Hmm.
It's like he's like really tapped into something that for me feels very sticky. Like it's kind of like or catchy.
Yeah.
So I noticed that a bit this year. Um, just how watching Mulholland Drive again, going to see Firewalk with me in theaters after he died. All of that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, personally, a huge win for me was that I got my niece to finally watch the original Twin Peaks, which is seems like just such an incredible formative thing for
yeah.
a teenager. I watched it a little later myself.
When did you watch it? I think I watched it when I was, I don't know, 18, 19.
No, I saw it much later. I saw the movies first and then
Oh, nice.
backtracked into Twin Peaks. But yeah, it's been incredible just revisiting some of that. I think after he died, the one that I watched that really I talked about in our episode, but profoundly affected me was A Straight Story.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of the one like iconically light-sided David Lynch
Right.
film because they all kind of feel like they're peeled out of the dark and the light and this fusion of the two and how they interact in within the mundane. But yeah, I don't know. That movie was I just kind of forgot that it is so much of a Lynch movie, even though it's like a Disney film. It still
Yeah.
has him all over it, and it's really moving and incredible. So it was great to revisit that afterwards. I kind of forgot about that one.
Huh. Yeah. My favorite thing to rewatch was probably I don't I rewatched Lost Highway, which I just love, which is such an insane movie. Um, my favorite thing I had not seen before, kind of revisiting his body of work, was that now I can't remember the name, the thing he shot on that old Lumiere
Yeah,
camera.
yeah.
That 1 minute film is just unbelievable.
Right. Very Shaver-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we jumped back into Strieberland for the fourth. Was it called the fourth kind? What's that? What's the
The
title of
Fourth
that book?
Mind.
Fourth Mind. Okay, I thought it
Yeah.
was the fourth mind, but then I was
I
like, am
think
I
it is.
making
Yeah.
that up? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good episode. I really liked that book. I like him. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Endlessly intriguing character in the field, and I mean, he kind of didn't slump in this one too. It's a very peculiar book. I
Yeah.
remember it focusing on that weird Reddit dossier about like
Yeah.
um, non-human biologics and
It
stuff.
just instantly dates it, which is, I feel like that's a fumble, but it's also something that I kind of find charming is to like, in a book, engage with these like kind of inherently fleeting
Yeah.
revelations.
Totally.
So,
Vaporous
yeah.
digital ephemera. Incredible.
Yeah.
And that was
Now that's
like,
going to be there forever, even though the thread's probably gone, but
I
like that's
know,
going to be in that book.
a beyond contested article to begin with. Like I do kind of
Yeah.
love that actually. It's quite meta.
It's meta.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Um, I shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I
And
feel
then
like
the
there should be a
meta
guy that slaps the back of my head when I do an accent on the podcast.
meta was like out the door by the time liminal came in, and you couldn't like listen to something without hearing
Yeah, I'm
liminal
back on
17.
meta though.
Yeah, you're on it.
Yeah, it's all meta.
There's not like another word to really describe that except for like breaking the fourth wall.
Like reflexive, maybe if it kind of turns back on itself. Fourth wall. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's a good word, even though a corporation took it for their name.
Yeah, I mean, they gobbled it up, you know.
But I think that it's going to prove to give them indigestion.
There was an NBA player who legally changed his name to Meta World Peace, and this was like 10 years before
Why do you do that?
Facebook changed their name to Meta, 'cause he was a genius. Prophetic.
Hmm.
Then we did we had our first episode on the Law of One raw
R-
channeling
Right,
material.
that was a series.
A two-parter, two episodes.
That's a series. It's the smallest series possible.
Okay. But yeah, I was really excited to look at that stuff in depth, especially because I think that stuff first came up for me. Obviously, we were both familiar with it, but I started to realize that it had a lot of pulp magic kind of material in it, and
Yeah.
wanted to cover it for that series, but it was hard to squeeze it in the way that got fleshed out. So then we just did a standalone on some of the raw stuff, and Don Elkins
Yeah.
and Carla Ruckert, and If you didn't listen to those, go back and check that out because that is just such a strange story between those two. Comes out of Kentucky and has connections to Andrija Puharich, of course. People go in many directions of how these insane channeling sessions came to be. There's some incredible back history in there, going back to some flying saucer groups, early
Yeah.
flying saucer groups out of Detroit and Chicago, going back to like George Adamski era. So, yeah, I mean, I was really glad to look at that stuff. And man, it's just such a compelling story, and the people drama of it, like the interpersonal drama of
Yeah.
that is
And the movie?
incredible and tragic. The film, the fictional
Oh
film,
my
science
God.
fiction film that we're talking about here.
Amazing. Which I will never. What if I just could recall the name of that off the top of my head? You'd probably shout. You'd say, "What?"
It's like, yeah, it's like
It's like
bubbling in my brain.
the
Yeah.
booby of the hoogie. It's like it's a made up words. I guess booby's not a
Mam
made up
Dougal
word, but
Foxham now.
no, that's Elvish.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nice.
I don't know, but anyway, yeah, it's like a B movie that Carla's in, and
B. That's generous.
sorry, it's like a it's a
Yeah.
D minus.
Double D. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we
And
had Tanner.
it's dark,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the country music songs in it that they probably just
Crazy.
hired some guy to do. Wow, I love that stuff. Um, it's like saying like if you're not fucking, you're not trucking. It's like that's really like what the songs are about,
Right. It's true.
which doesn't really have to do with the plot.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean the raw material also is like this generative article in the new age community that like so much of what I feel like would come out on Gaia TV and Ancient Aliens, but also would be,
Yeah,
transported into new age message boards 30 years after these books came out. It's all in the raw material. Yeah, kind of a remarkable little history there. So that was really great to look at. Glad we got to do that one. We had
I agree.
Tanner F. Boyle on after that.
Yeah, that was awesome. We got to have him on soon.
Totally big fan, and that was great. I mean, it was kind of just like having a long lost friend on the show. And I feel like
Yeah,
that was true of a couple guests this year. But
right.
first time interviews, but we just got on really well. So Tanner
Yeah,
obviously does incredible research into strange histories in ufology and the military
right.
industrial complex and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to him, and he probably knows the most of some of the like. He knows the most about some of the weird, like, sort of background lore and history about some of these figures in the movement, which the movement in the ufology scene,
Yeah.
the ufology movement. Yeah, so that was really cool. Having AP Strange on felt similar. Someone who we've kind of corresponded with for a while, and
Hmm.
then he came on and we kind of had a sort of an aimed discussion about Loch Ness and Crowley and stuff like that. That was a bit later though, but it came to mind as somebody who felt like a sort of an easy interview, which is nice.
Totally. And that's always a fun topic to revisit too. And I think he's done
Yeah,
some incredible research concerning, like that's such a well-tread area. Crowley, Loch Ness, and what's the gentleman's name who wrote the Goblin Universe?
F.W. Holiday,
Yeah, F.W. Holiday.
Ted.
Ted Holiday. It's such a well-tread area, I feel like, I mean, there's even a BBC documentary about Crowley and Loch Ness. So to bring up some new revelations in that area, I felt like was pretty great, and I think he
Yeah.
did that. So definitely check out his research, his podcast, always fun to listen to as well.
Yes.
You covered some stuff from the Stargate conspiracy up next, which was cool.
Yeah. What episode was that? I'm looking for that.
Alien conduits,
Yeah, there
unreality
it is.
syncing, and location sigils on
Right. Ira
Patreon.
Einhorn, Theosophy. It's kind of, I feel like something we learned this year that we already knew, but learned again, is that you can't get away from Theosophy in basically any esoteric realm after Theosophy. It's kind of like, I don't know what it's like.
That's
It's like Pedro Pascal.
ugh, yeah. That is fascinating, especially because it just seems that although theosophical lodges still exist in many cities in North America and other places in the world, like, Sydney, Australia, and I hear about these lodges, and I'm sure that some are more active than others, but it just seems like obviously it's such a shell of what it once was, and yet theosophy
Yeah.
was something that had its hooks in everything. And I guess it just speaks to that moment in time in the early 20th century, when so much new mythology was being generated. But certainly theosophy is a cornerstone of so much of what we consider to be new age and Western
Right.
esoteric nowadays.
Yeah. Um, I was thinking I had asked in the Discord what people wanted us to look at, and that might be something nice to do just so we don't skip over anything that people wanted specifically for us to look at. One of which was the skull experiment,
Mm.
which we did have an episode on in 2025. I don't remember exactly when, but yeah, that was a very fun episode, I thought. And do I have any new thoughts on it since then? Not really, but um, what do you think of that episode and that thing?
I think it was incredible. I look forward on the Patreon on the back end of this episode. I want to talk about some personal experiences with the history of spiritualism and, direct experience with some of those classic spiritualist practices,
Yeah,
like, psychic channeling, but also table tipping and spirit photography. Those are things that have always interested me and continue to. And because of that, the skull experiment was incredible. And I also really like when when new technologies get the treatment of like uh, paranormal investigation. Like that, there's that fellow. I think his name's Mark Macy, who had his. I spoke about some of his stuff, and I think he's tangentially related to the skull experiment. And
yeah,
that he out of the '90s, he had this Afterlife Foundation, and they were receiving these incredible images of people through like just appearing on computers apparently. And it's this super 90s thing, like you think at that time it was AOL and Prodigy and
right.
floppy disks and stuff, and there are these images just populating, as you could imagine it, like buffering down the screen of deceased loved ones and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So I love that. I mean, it's almost like out of a movie, just some cyberpunk type thing or something. And there's some of that in the skull experiment as well. Um, I do have to say, like the skepticism with something like the skull experiment, until you have a direct encounter with like a medium and kind of get some element of proof for yourself, I don't think that you're ever going to quite believe these things, no matter
Yeah.
what evidence is gained. Because I mean, they had some remarkable evidence, but who the hell knows what's going on? Like, I don't know if they faked it or if it's
It's
certainly
crazy.
possible to
Yeah.
doctor this stuff up. Not the way that they claimed to have done these experiments. It's not, but if they cheated, certainly. But
I'd be so mad if they cheated.
yeah, um, but I don't know. I don't get why they would do that. And coming out of the Parapsychical Research Society and stuff, it doesn't seem like that's like an area of much fraudulent activity. Although maybe that's naive of me to say, but that's just kind of where
Yeah.
my gut goes. You know.
And one must follow one's gut. Um, yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day about the afterlife and stuff like that. I wasn't talking about the skull experiment or anything, but just how it seems to me very natural to believe in the afterlife, having been in the presence of like a family member who died like at the moment of it, and that being like a moment for me where I was like, oh, there's really like there is something like you just have this sense sort of that somebody has to go somewhere, that there's no I don't know. And so it is really like this intuitive thing almost that is kind of hard to explain logically, which is why something like the skull experiment is so interesting because it's almost just like putting a bunch of it's like you have a beat up old Camry or something and you're putting all this stuff on it and you're putting all these bells and whistles on it and you're putting lasers on it and stuff. But really, it's still a Camry that will or will not drive. Like so you just have to you believe it intuitively, or it doesn't matter how much scientific stuff you do to prove it. People will come to it with that or they won't because it's a spiritual question. But that's also why it's attractive to me, the sort of scientific attempt to prove it, because I love futile endeavors.
Yeah, yeah. And if you don't know what we're talking about because you didn't listen to the episode, go listen to the episode. But
Yeah.
the skull experiment, it's probably like the best investigation into the existence of the afterlife, using uh, recorded documentation and
Yeah.
um,
They still did some spooky stuff
blind
too.
experiments. Yeah, but that's the cool thing is that like I feel like
Yeah.
the way that you made it sound with lasers and stuff makes it sound like it's almost more like what they were doing at Pear, which we talked about
Right. No,
later.
it's not quite like that. I just
But
mean that like you can throw any kind of instrumentation at something or methodology at something and still it won't prove it to anybody really. That's which I think is the same thing as like the alien problem in the era of AI. Like there really isn't any way to prove something to somebody until they have a direct experience with it, or an intuitive sense for it, whether or not that's wrong. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I'll never believe like video of a UFO ever again. So, like I'll believe an old photo from the 60s of a hubcap is more that's more a UFO to me than like a scary alien face peeking out of a porthole.
Well said. Uh, yes, I mean it should be said too that they did get super weird and
They did,
their
yeah.
like team of deceased spirit guides was like helping them from the other side. There's documentaries on it and it's all available on YouTube.
Yeah, no, there
But
was
why do
freaks. It
that?
was
Listen to
freaks.
our episode on it.
Right, listen to our episode. You can count the uhs and likes and
Oh, got
tally
it.
them in the comments section.
Amen.
uh,
Uh, you you also talked about Harry J. Gardner, and
Shit, yeah.
we revisited Robert Anton Wilson's Cosmic Trigger, which was a throwback to episode 1. You know, that was
That was
great.
maybe my biggest thing of the year was Harry J. Gardner and his, quote unquote Golden Dawn press. Uh, that whole like scene of 30s through 70s Los Angeles, mail order, New Age was kind of my big obsession for the year, I would say. Um, and it was a big part of my sort of hunt out in LA
Mm.
was looking for that kind of material, and I found some. Uh,
Where did you
yeah.
find some anyway?
Where?
Yeah. You don't want
Like
to
what
reveal?
bookstore?
Yeah.
I did pretty well at Counterpoint Books and Records. I believe that's what they're called. Did did okay finding weird theosophy stuff at the what's the big famous one downtown?
The one from Under
Uh,
the Silver Lake?
it's the big bookstore that what's her name? What's the woman that disappeared? The girl that disappeared from the hotel and she did the weird hand motions.
Mm.
Elisa Lamb.
Mm.
The one that the last bookstore is what it's called. I went there, found some cool theosophy stuff. I went all over. Shoot, what's that one in? Oh shoot, not no. Well, this is just gonna be me trying to remember a bookstore's
Yeah,
name.
that's okay. I was
But
just curious because
yeah, no, I
it's
found a bunch of great, and of course the which ties into an interview we did. The Philosophical Research Society was
right, right.
great. I found some stuff there. Looked through the library a bit. We had Kristen Phillips on, which was really fun,
Mm-hmm.
talking about her work as the events coordinator over there. Hopefully, she's doing all right out there. Yeah, I've been thinking about LA a lot. I really want to go back. I don't want to live there, but I really liked it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was asking because it's kind of cool to me that that stuff would even be in a bookstore, like Xerox
Yeah,
mail.
no, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
And it was not as much as I wanted to find, but I found a bunch of other stuff that made it worth it. I mean, I didn't go out there just for books, but I think a lot of the stuff that was printed there wasn't necessarily kept within the confines of Los Angeles. It was mostly sent to like freaks in Pennsylvania and stuff
Mm,
like that.
sure.
So a lot of the Gardner stuff I found has just been in like flea markets out here. But
You know what irks me, by the way, is when people say Zine instead of zine.
who the hell says that?
I've heard it.
Uh, a magazine.
Magazine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
You know, I think actually when we talked to Adam Gorightly, he was saying, so that kind of flipped me where I was like, did they actually just call them Zines back then? I don't know.
They might have called them Zines.
Yeah. Stunting on the word, completely stunting on the word.
I'm gonna start doing that with random words.
Yeah. Don't start now. After that, we did our 20 esoteric films, which I loved. That was such a fun episode. Just
That was
listing
fun.
off, not the most overtly occult films or the best occult horror, but we looked at 20 esoteric films that we thought communicated the word esoteric in a consensus unreality sense.
Yeah.
So I think we came up with a really unique list of films for that topic that I think would have a lot of stuff that wasn't included on similar lists. So definitely check that out. Check that episode out. That one's super fun.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I put on there. I'm trying to. That
Don't.
was a lot of fun.
Moving on.
No, I have to know.
We
Was Under the Silver Lake on there?
of course, yeah. We
I
love that
love
one.
that flick.
Yeah, I rewatched that this year. Man, what a phenomenally entertaining, deep film that just rips your guts out.
Not my guts.
Yeah, back to the guts. We had Eric Van Ficken on, which was
Oh yeah, I wasn't even there.
incredible interview. Maybe
Shut
the
up.
best episode of the year.
That's just your friend.
That was great. It was killer. The people loved it.
They hated it.
They said
They were
try
like,
try
"This
more episodes
sucks."
without Ben.
No, they were like, "This sucks. Where's the funny guy?"
Yeah, that one was super fun. I mean, he had just incredible
Yeah, yeah,
stories in so many different areas of the paranormal and the occult, and he's just a guy who, him and his wife, just they just seems like their lives are enchanted with the next world, the other worlds. So
Yeah.
certainly go back and listen to that, and also listen to our past episodes with Ivana Roman.
We only did one with her. Or did we two? Did we
Two,
do two?
yeah,
Yeah. Gee whiz. I guess we should do another.
yeah, absolutely. And I'll talk about my reading with her on the Patreon that I had recently. Incredible. Check out her stuff.
Yeah.
We had Will Melanion of Molasses Industries, which was great.
That was
To
fun.
talk about some different stuff. A brilliant builder and manipulator of electronic devices, creating sound machines and weird boxes that shock you, and just a brilliant artist. So we got to talk all about strange stuff with electricity and
Yeah, that was cool.
making weird sounds. And
Wow, you know what else we did this year? We revisited and re-released our Disney episode.
I know that was big. Yeah.
Um, which is listening back to that, I feel like we both sounded like little babies.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Um, you're like, well, I didn't really watch Disney, and you were like, oh yeah, you did. And I was like, what the hell? This was only like 2 years ago, but it wasn't. It was like 50 years ago,
Yeah, true.
and now, who knows? Now Disney is undercover,
Right, right. They went what's the word?
hyper objective.
Underground. They
Yeah,
went dark. That's what I'm looking for.
they've been dark. Um, yeah. So that was a fun one. And oh yeah, we had Timothy Grieve Carlson on the show, which was a bucket of monkeys fun. Talking cryptozoology with him was great, and then getting into the um, Kelpius stuff on which he is, one of the experts. Yeah, that was really great.
Yeah, maybe
He's
the
somebody we should
expert
have
right
on.
now. Yeah, we
Yeah,
love Timothy Grieve Carlson. An incredible interview. It's very popular with our listeners and very popular with us. Um, just an interesting array of areas of interest. Being able to
yeah,
talk on the wonderful world of Ivan T. Sanderson,
right.
cryptozoology, but also Johannes Kelpius, the great reclusive mystic of the Philadelphia area.
In the Ephrata cloister.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and he also contributed a wonderful piece about crop circles to our Journal of Shells.
Yeah, I loved that one.
So,
Yeah,
if you check out the Journal of Shells, people, it's a beautiful printed publication. Each of them are
it's a
about
Zine.
50 pages now, and it gets
Yeah,
mailed
we gotta
straight to
pare it
your
back.
box, along with other stuff. Last time it came with two other publications that you can only get through our print club on patreon.com/consensus unreality.
Yeah, you can get my lecture that a fairy wrote that I wrote about anime.
Oh
People are
God,
saying it's
I can
good.
I can hear them signing up right now.
People are saying it's the best thing that they've read this year.
Yeah,
People are saying it's top 5 books of the year.
they're all
I've heard it.
bots.
They're not bots. They're deep thinkers and big winners.
Deep learning. We went back to Carcosa after that. Did some
Ah,
listened to an inhabitant of Carcosa and talked about some of that stuff, and we got into the weird fiction thing, didn't we?
we sure did. Blackwood,
Yep.
little Arthur Machen. I love
Mackin,
those fellas.
Ambrose Bierce.
Chambers,
We did. Yeah.
Robert,
Right, right, right.
Robert Chambers.
We had our
Yeah, that's great.
interview with Greg Malazzi of the Cosmic Clock, which was a wonderful interview about the
Yeah.
mad scientist Andrija Puharich.
We really beat that guy this year, didn't we? We're just like, every time we turned around, we are just like, and fuck Andrija Puharich.
No, well, we got him. He was
No, I'm
in
just
the
kidding.
Law of
He's
One
great.
saga.
I actually like
and
him.
I think you spent a lot of time apologetically championing
I was saying, come
Puharik.
on, guys, let's give him a chance.
Yeah.
He was obviously wicked smart. Let's just give him a chance.
You'll do anything to go against the people who were writing threads on Twitter like 5 years ago.
I would do almost anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would. Hell, I would change my name.
Beautiful. Um, Holy shit,
What?
we had Josh Gotch. I forgot we had Josh
Yeah, we
Gotch.
had Josh Cutchin on the show to
Holy
talk about
shit,
fourth
I
wall
forgot about
phantoms.
that. Yeah.
Very, very wonderful interview, in my opinion, because I'm deeply steeped in that world right now. So it was perfect timing
Oh
for me,
yes, I
poisonally.
see. Okay, yeah, yeah. Now I know where it is. Okay, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. That was
It's always great to have him on. I really think he's like one of the main torch bearers of Fortean research that's actually interesting right
totally.
now. It's not
Yeah.
just like spinning in circles.
No, I mean, he's amazingly prolific too. To be able to write that many books about that many different things that no softballs thrown up there. Like they're all really
No,
compelling
it's all hard balls.
books.
Balls of steel, some might say.
Yeah.
And we had
Oh,
Mike Bruno on the show,
we did Mike Bruno talking about the Lock and the Grail, which
the
was super
Bard.
fun.
I call Mike Bruno the Bard starting today.
Maybe one of my favorite interviews was with Dara Mason talking
That was
about
amazing. Yeah,
Song of the Dark Man, and that book actually was maybe one of my favorite reads of the year.
absolutely. It was really, really, I don't know what, because it's stuff that we've talked about before and stuff that we've both kind of read and encountered, but from a really, I don't know, just solid, well written angle. And his uh his grasp on the folklore around the Dark Man was really helpful. Yeah, that was a great interview. And his stories about
Oh my god, yeah.
his travels and weird synchronicities and precognition and stuff like that with his photographic career.
I don't know that I've read too much stuff about fairy folklore that incorporates contemporary, brings it into a contemporary landscape that I've found super compelling. Obviously, there's like
Yeah,
the valet stuff and relating fairy lore to ufology, which is something
right.
that, gets spun a million times over and, is obviously super useful, but I haven't heard too much new developments in talking about that, which was
It's
what
out there,
that's
but
what
yeah,
that's what was so refreshing about Dara Mason's book, though, is that it
for
brought up
sure.
all of this new stuff that I was kind of hearing for the first time, and also like the accounts of people operating in occult and esoteric work, um, encountering and interacting with this mythology currently, and that
Yeah.
stuff was all super compelling and a book that really, I don't know, got into a lot of the emotional depth of the people that were encountering this archetype as well. So I
Yeah, it
just
was great.
loved it, and the interview was also incredible.
Yeah, and it helps that I guess that he has his own show. And so it was we all kind of knew the score. It was just very smooth and fun. And I got to talk about my own weird nighttime visit from like a specter in that same realm, which I've thought about many times since.
Yeah, that was weird. You should save that for the Patreon when we talk about our. Because
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the requests was to retread some of the paranormal events of our own lives, and we'll talk
Right.
about that in the Patreon portion. So certainly don't miss out on the ghostly gossip.
The ghostly gossip.
And the hat, we talked about the Hat Man after that, which was a really kind of fun way to bounce off of the Dark Man thing into
Yeah.
the NyQuil Hatman Reddit community.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And is genuinely scary sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, and then pretty soon thereafter, we got into talking about Ong's Hat with Joseph Matheny.
Oh yeah, also an incredible interview.
We
Totally.
did some really great interviews this year.
Yeah, we did. Pat yourself on the back because we had
Yosef,
some really nice ones. Joe, yeah, Joe's awesome.
he's great.
That got
And
off in so many
yeah,
amazing areas as well because it just his history with early internet art and also
absolutely.
fucking uh, Robert Anton Wilson and Discordians and that all that weirdness that was going on in California,
Yeah,
especially the way that it crossed over from the earlier Discordian stuff into like the internet age is where Joe sits. So he's is at that really interesting inflection point there.
yeah, I liked it a lot. What was I feel like we had one more. Yeah, John Kozik of the Ouija Museum, the
Oh,
Witchboard Museum.
oh yeah,
Sorry,
that was great too. So fun.
that was awesome. Yeah, I can't even believe we did all this in 1 year. It's a lot of stuff.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah, it was really cool. I can't stop thinking about the Stranger Things Ouija board that he has. That's like the most haunted one that people can't photograph.
it makes so much sense actually. Like
Did you watch the end of Stranger Things?
I didn't
Think you will?
probably don't ruin it for me or people that are listening because people want to watch it.
I
No
won't,
spoilers.
except to say,
No, don't.
yoy, yoy, yoy. I'm
Yeah,
allowed to say, oi, yoy, yoy.
yeah, whatever. That's enough. Um, but yeah, no, I actually wanted for a couple years to have somebody, especially we have so much history with the Ouija board, and it's such
What's the
a
board? Yeah.
contested object in the community, like a much maligned object, which I always find kind of funny, and that's why it was so cool to have John on and sort of have a reclaiming history of the board and his own personal
Yeah.
stuff with it, but also talking about the dark possibilities with it. Yeah, I don't know. The Ouija board, like that's kind of maybe one of the first paranormal thing, like items that entered my own life as a child. So I'll,
Yeah.
I'll always have this fascination with it, and go back and listen to that if you didn't, because it's amazing to hear the history of it. And he has this
Absolutely.
wonderful Ouija Witchboard Museum in Salem. So gets to encounter all kinds of experiences that people have and report with the boards and stuff. So that was a
Yeah.
great one.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Um, where else did we go? We produced a handful of issues of the Journal of Shells, as we mentioned, and
Very proud of that. Definitely.
I guess we'll keep going.
Yeah, and that's something that it's currently just exclusive to our print club.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. We like it to be this esoteric thing, and I think, with time, maybe our plan is when we get to 8 issues, we're gonna release a compiled volume that will sell to non-subscribers. But the only way that you're gonna get the standalone issues when they come out, and I mean, I don't know when we're gonna release a compiled volume,
Yeah,
but
who
if we
knows?
do, it's only going to be every 8 issues or something like that. So to get the originals when they come out, you're only going to get it to the print club. I don't know. I think it's cool to do something exclusive like that and keep it
Yeah.
esoteric. We have some of that. If you're just a regular Patreon subscriber, we're gonna, as some of the issues get out of print, we're going to put some digital copies up on the Patreon. We already have some up on there now. So that'll be something to look forward to. But yeah, I mean, I love the print club. I always wanted to do my own printed publications, and this was a great way to get into it. I love to find the archival stuff. Like in the last issue, we had some amazing spiritualist literature, and I love
Yeah.
to just create the juxtaposition of new writings and archival stuff and sourcing artworks, and it's a
Yeah,
really
it's
fun
cool.
thing. It's $10 a month. You get all of the other Patreon features, and then you'll get the quarterly zine and whatever bonus print items, or some of them have came with recorded sounds and music.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the Journal of Shells. I love it. I think we started doing it in 2020, in the spring of 2024.
I guess so, yeah. Jeez.
Yep.
Time flies.
We're on volume. We did 6 volumes at this one, I
I
think.
think so, yeah. I think
Yeah.
we'll be 7 next.
Yep.
Um, and this is going to be the serial killer issue. Just kidding.
Wow,
um,
that would be actually, that's a good idea. Table that. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, we had some great Patreon episodes. I'm seeing, Poltergeist Phenomena, The Bell Witch, which was awesome stuff to cover, obviously.
Yeah.
Halloween table tipping, orb photography, which I'll talk about some of those Lilydale experiences in the Patreon. Flying info hazards, grail curses, trauma horror, some more Halloween flicks. We had our Bigfoot Rue Morgue combo, which was super
That one was
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
Um, and then I guess we kind of got into that ESP stuff with the Monroe and Gateway and off into SRI and all of that. That was fun.
Yeah, and I think that was, to me, that signifies, like, we started the year off with the plasmoidal ether ship,
Yeah.
early ufology stuff, Trevor James Constable, coming out of the New Science of Heaven, Robert Temple book on plasma physics and spirituality. And that kind of put us on that tangent. And then I feel like the other tangent of the year has been out of body experiences,
Yeah.
um, and ESP research, some remote viewing stuff, and the concept of the Loosh Garden in Robert Monroe's books. And I've been really loving that stuff. I also think that Far Journeys by Robert Monroe was one of my other favorite books of the year.
Yeah.
I didn't really expect it to have such an impact on me as it did, but I just found it to be such a unique piece of literature, that reminded me of a lot of other things, but I don't know. It's just it's like a piece of world building. I think
Yeah.
it stands alone from a lot of other stuff. And being that Robert Monroe is somebody who created all these protocols for out of body experiences, and it seems very practical, like to have this utility. I didn't expect him to be able to write this, wildly entertaining book. But for me, Far Journeys is that. It feels at times like a Philip K. Dick book, at times like
Absolutely.
a kind of new age retelling of Genesis and all this stuff. Yeah, so that was really fun for me.
Yeah. Yep. I enjoyed my time with that book as well. Um, oh yeah, and then we talked a bit about we both visited that surrealism exhibition at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, which was wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely incredible. And then our last episode of 2025 was revisiting John C. Lilly and Echo,
Yeah.
the solid state intelligence, something just so relevant to the artificial intelligence conversation that's going on right now. Also, really was a nice bow on that out of body experience, Stargate, ESP
Yeah.
area that we were exploring. John C. Lilly is just like endlessly fascinating. It was our second episode that we've done on his work. And I think concentrating on the concepts of echo and the solid state intelligence was really interesting because those stand out as his like mythological frameworks that define his writing, and
Yeah.
very potent stuff. I feel like a lot of a lot of projection around artificial intelligence is like kind of straight up cribbed out of his solid state intelligence stuff, and it wouldn't surprise
For
me if it
sure.
actually is, given his influence in on the West Coast and Silicon Valley and everything.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that they know of that concept, and which is kind of funny because it's so negative, but I guess they're afraid of it too.
Yeah, they know. So that I don't. That's I feel like that wraps up the public portion of this episode. But it was really fun to do that, just to look at how a year is fleshed out on this show. We're two people who have full-time jobs. This is a labor of love for us. So to spend time with these materials and just see where it takes us is what we do on Consensus Unreality. What we've been doing for 5 going on 6 years.
Brutal.
Um, totally insane. Uh, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I love to do. I love to look at the year before and just see where my mind was going, where I was led, and all the
Yeah.
great interviews too. Wow, we really did have an incredible spectrum of interviews, such diverse topics, but they all delivered incredible curated guests.
Yeah, it was awesome. Um, yeah, it was a strange year. Interesting thought occurred. I don't know. A lot of my year was spent writing, so less reading took place, except as benefited the writing. Um, that being said, it's kind of insane, probably to anybody who isn't one of us, how much stuff we covered.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's in like to peel back the curtain a little bit. Like right now, I feel like we're taking just a little bit of like a mental break, and it isn't. It's insane to think of like how much shit you got to cram in your head to like do
Yeah.
these episodes and get through a book in a week, and then figure out what parts are relevant to talk about and talk about in an interesting way. But to figure that out, that's kind of the game of like, doing this thing. And that's, I don't know, that's the joy of doing it. That
Yeah.
being said, we do most of our stuff on Patreon. We make a point to try and get public episodes out there. But we do way more episodes on Patreon. We're comfortable doing that. So if you enjoy what we do, to get all of those back episodes and our ongoing exclusive episodes, it's only $5 a month. I know that it's hard for people to subscribe to stuff. It's hard to get yourself to subscribe to stuff, but it's
Yeah.
also the price of, a cup of coffee, basically a Gatorade or a hamburger, something that is,
Half a
thoughtless.
hamburger.
So, if you want all this, it's a lot of work to do all this stuff, and, it's fun for us. We love to do it. But, if you want to hear all that and you want to support the show, patreon.com/consensus unreality is the place to do it. We thank you for listening. Either way, we're going to bounce over to Patreon for the second half of this episode. Hang on the line if you're a Patreon subscriber. Thanks for listening. If not. And we're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're so back.
That's our year in review episode. I'm excited to talk about all of the strange personal stuff that has happened to us in this past year.
Yeah.
I feel like I had some big ones this year. Some very strange things. I think that for me, a big thing was having some of this stuff actualized in my life and researching a lot of existing. Um, not that I want to join like an occult order or something, but just researching existing